So, hello everybody, welcome back to another Pokemon patch rundown. The new patch 6.2 dropped, so we are going to talk about it. It's called Close Combat, and it has a very nice artwork done by Jixist, I think it's pronounced, but it's here on the bottom. So it's Jixist who has done this artwork, which is very, very nice. And here you can also see all the new Pokemons that will be added or are added to the game. But first of all, we go to the changes to the Pokemons. So several Pokemons got buffed and nerfed. First of all, the Charmander line got more defense and special defense. Same goes for Squirtle, like in later stages. That is pretty nice. Whereas evolving it makes it a bit tankier. The Charmander line and the Squirtle line, yeah, I mean it makes is it War Turtle? Yeah, War Turtle is a bit tankier. And I see that I colored the numbers wrong at Squirtle, but it's fine. Kakuna got a buff. It's from 4 to 8 defense, which is massive buff. But Kakuna is supposed to be a tanky unit, so a tanky frontliner. So it's pretty nice. The Pichu line got nerfed again. It loses a huge chunk of defense on all stages, so it's like very, very untanky now. I mean, still pretty tanky compared to like Charmander or Squirtle. I mean, it's still tankier than Squirtle. Like Raichu's still tankier than Charizard. So it still has 7 defense compared to Charizard's 5. So yeah. So this will be a hit to a lone Raichu, so it will be played less probably. Or even if it will be, even if people still spam it, it is less tanky. And it is easier to kill for your units. The Pidove line is buffed a lot. Like attack is buffed by 1 at second stage and 3 at third stage. Defense is buffed by 2, by 1 and 2 and 3, by 1, 2, 3, and special defense is buffed by 1, 2, and 3, by 1, 1, and 2 again. So Pidove actually could be a decent unit now. Previously it was a unit in the game. It was a Pokemon. You weren't happy to get it, but now it's better. It's pretty decent. And also have to make the music a bit quieter because I feel like shouting. So okay. Oh. So Litwick line also got buffed. The defense and special defense got buffed to 2, 3, 4 instead of 2 on all levels, which is pretty nice. So it gets tankier by leveling. It doesn't stay as weak as it was. Fennekin line is also buffed. The special defense is 2, 4, 6 now instead of only 2, and the PP is also buffed. So it's 90. It's 80 instead of 90. So it's quicker, which is all very nice. I will talk about what the changes do later on, at the end of everything. About my thoughts and predictions. So I will just read out the changes right now and maybe talk about it a little bit. So Nosepass is now a Rock Steel instead of a Rock Artificial, which is which makes like Artificial harder to get a little bit because there's 1 less Artificial unit. So the probability to get Artificial is lower. And also Steel gets a pretty decent unit at their common spots. So It could be a potential buff to Steel, because you have also easier access to Rock now with Aeron and Nosepass, so Rock Steel could be something. Archilodon no longer devolves when an artificial item is removed. This is pretty nice. I don't know if this was a bug or if they just... I don't know why it was even in the game, but it doesn't do it anymore, which is pretty nice. A Cryogonal gets a little bit buffed. PP is lowered by 10. Pretty nice. Its costs quicker. Its damage output is still very good, so it should be a pretty decent unit now. I mean, even before it was pretty decent, so it's a nice buff. The Munchkins 9 passive was also buffed, so instead of 5 you get now 10 HP for each berry it eats. Instead of 10 it gets 20 for every dish, and instead of 20 it gets 30 HP every time it cooks. So it is easier to stack up HP on the Munchnecks and Snorlax, which also means that it's easier to get the Glutton title. Maybe. We will see that. But it gets tankier quicker, and it's a better unit, therefore, so that's nice. Level gets a bit more speed, so it attacks faster, runs faster, pretty nice. Beatmore has less defense and special defense. It's lowered by 3, which is a decent chunk, so it should be fine. Heatmore was a very strong unit in field, and also fire, so this is nice. Kingler gets buffed. It gets 2 attack and 2 defense. Kingler is feels like very, very weak. And maybe it helps Kingler to be playable, or even for people to consider playing it. Totodile gets buffed. The PP is from 120 to 100. It was too high in my opinion anyway, so it makes it just a bit nicer. Maybe Feraligatr is an option in Monster now? Maybe. We don't know. I think it's still not good in Water or Aquatic aside from Synergy Filler, but it still does more, so it's fine. Oshawotts get also buffed, and Lotet the same treatment. They get 20 PP removed, so they're both on 100. I think for frontline unit like Oshawott, it gets its shield quicker, pretty nice, it's more tankier, therefore. And Lotet might be a good unit now. A potential carry, like a potential backline carry unit for your mid game in Water or Grass. But that's something you have to test. The Caterpie line is now Bug Amorphous instead of Bug Grass, which I will talk about later. But it's a nice change. Having a common Amorphous unit seems a bit weird, but also in your regular pool, so it makes Amorphous more accessible for a lot more stuff. But we have to see how it impacts the meta game, or even if it impacts the meta game. Mantic's fishing rate for the Remorates is increased a little bit. Instead of 30, it's 33%, which is fine, I guess. I mean, if you have Remorate already, it kind of sucks because you might get more Remorates you don't want, but that's just how it is. The Slowpoke line isn't Psychic Aquatic anymore, but it's Psychic Water, which is huge, I think, because it gives a buff to Psychic Water and makes it easier to access, even. So you can plan to play Psychic Water with the right ad picks, of course, but that's very nice. And it gets a bit, and Slowking gets a bit of defense, like 2. That's also very nice. Also, Psychic loses like the possibility to get Aquatic easily, But I think that's a pretty decent payoff for water still. Rockety gets buffed in every place. So Rockety gets more HP. HP is increased by 20 and 30, so it's really tank. It has a good amount of HP. It gets a good amount of attack, so it has now 8, 14, 28 attack instead of 6, 10, 20. I think Rockety was decent before, but with these buffs, it's kind of good. The defense is also buffed quite a bit, which helps with its ability. And special defense is buffed also as well, so it's kind of scary. But it can be kind of scary, but it can be especially tanky. It's not a tank unit for flying. Or maybe like also steel, of course. Articuno is buffed a little bit. Articuno was... I haven't seen any Articunos last patch. Except when people were forced to play it, so... It's a nice buff. Maybe we will see Articuno more often. Yeah. So to the speed adjustment. Oh, speed adjustments. The Jolteon line gets more, and Espion and Leafeon line gets more speed. Therefore they lose attack, because higher speed means more attacks. So the attack has to be lowered, which is fine. They will deal like similar damage as before, a bit lower in quicker games, like in quicker fights, and more in longer fights. Like the longer the fight goes, the more damage they will deal because they have higher attack speed. The PP of Jolteon is also nerfed a bit. I don't know why it's only Jolteon, probably because of Electric. Because it can get PP even quicker than everyone else because of the triple attacks in Electric. And also the evolutions benefit more from the field buffs now, because they get more speed, and if you have high speed, more speed is always more beneficial. So overall, better units now. Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, and Hitmontop also have increased speed, which is pretty nice. Especially Hitmonlee's speed is very, very good now. So items like Muscle Band are even better on them now. So fighting got very good buff in this line. Meloetta Pirate form also got speed increase and PP nerf because of the speed increase. So higher speed, quicker attacks means quicker PP gain, means quicker ults. So the PP was nerfed a bit. Mercury line also has a bit of speed increase. You will probably not notice it that much, but it's there. The Gumi line got also a speed increase. It's over 50 now, so the Gumi line actually does benefit from building Muscle Band on it now. So that's kind of weird. You probably will still not build a Muscle Band on it, but it's possible now. Beautify and Dustox have a little bit of more speed, and Suicune and Cascoon have a little less speed, but more tankiness. That's also fine. I think this will not change anything about them being good or not. But those are just small changes. So now to the changes to the abilities. The Dragon Breath ability was fixed, so it was sometimes not hitting targets when holding White Lens, but now it hits all enemies between the user and its targets, plus the enemy behind it. So the Dragon Breath user can now hold White Lens, and it actually works. And it's even pretty good. I would say. So like a Dragonite can hold Wildlands now and can probably has like a Sableye, not Sableye, Sobble ability now. Kinda. Retaliate is buffed. It's the Lillipup ability and the TM you get from humans. So it's increased from 100% to 125% attack per fallen ally. A small buff, maybe it's good now. Probably not. Vanillix, like the Vanillish line, has a new ability. So instead of putting the backline units to sleep, it now has Icicle Missile. So it launches now Icicle missiles on enemies in the backline, dealing 50 special damage and inflicting freeze for 2 seconds. Still a great CC, and now does deal damage. So it feels actually like a unit that does something, and not only a synergy filler. Even though the sleep sometimes was pretty nice, but freezing a unit and dealing some damage is always better, especially in ice teams. The Dynamic Punch, its Marquita's ability is buffed. The damage is doubled on all stages, which is a lot. So this is a lot, so this is nice. Marquita is actually playable now, I guess. So you can run fighting with a bit of monster in your team, I guess. And the confusion duration is also increased on the first 2 stages, which is also pretty nice. So more CC, more damage. Marquita seems pretty decent now. Zygarde was reworked, so the 50% Zygarde, the ranged unit, is now instead of 2, free range. So you can actually put it into your backline if you play grounds or if you play dragon. But mostly it's pretty nice for ground. So you can put it into the backline actually and have it stay in the backline and be safe. And not be hit like by random abilities. And it can stack without being threatened that much. And at 15 stacks, like 15 ground stacks, not 15 ground stacks, at max stacks of ground, so after 15 seconds, around 15 seconds, Zygarde transforms into 100% Zygardes now, so not only the 50%, but also the, what was it, 25% or 10% form, like the dog form. It will transform into Zygarde then, after reaching max stacks of ground. And 100% Zygarde is now range 2 instead of 1, and the PP is lowered. So it doesn't need as much PP anymore. It can still hit from range, so it doesn't stay like AFK from time to time, because you have a lot of melee units, Pokemons in your team in ground. And sometimes Zygarde 100% form would just stand around and do nothing. But now it does something, it still attacks. And you still deal damage and ability casts, and the ability was also reworked. So now it hits an area of effect in the shape of a Z around the target. So around the Pokemon it targets, there will be a Z shape, and it deals damage, 80 special damage. And it will silence the Pokemons, so it's a great CC unit. And it does decent damage. So Zygarde is actually a pretty good unit now. I think it was a decent unit before, but it's pretty good now. Especially it's better in ground and dragon. So other changes, Purrloin is now an uncommon, so the damage of fake outs was lowered at the stages 2 and 4. 1 and 2, I mean. So it's just a bit of damage nerf, but you can get it earlier, which is nice. Then the Decorate ability from Alcremie was changed. Now it targets the strongest nearest ally. And strongest ally is determined by the number of items, then the star level, and then the rarity category. So if you have like 3 items Charmander near the Alchemy, it will target the 3 items Charmander over your 0 item Gyarados. So that's basically it, which is a nice change because sometimes you have a carry unevolved and you want it to be buffed, so you have to give it items so it can get buffed by Alchemy without having to disrupt your positioning. So that's a nice change. It also makes it more consistent who gets the buffs. And it's not completely random. Now to change to Roaring Moon. Roaring Moon now consistently has 8 scales, so every time it casts its ability, it has 8 scales. Around it, like no matter where you place it, it always produces 8 scales. Not only like 6 or whatever if you put it in the corner, but always 8 scales. And the damage per scale is lowered by 5, so from 30 to 25. Which does make it easier to position a Roaring Moon because you can put it into the corner and it still gets its scales. And the damage was a bit too much from Roaring Moon, so it was lowered. But this consistency buff is very appreciated. And it will make Roaring Moon better than it was, I think. Not by like sheer damage output per ability cast, but in general, it's safer. Spiky Shield, the ability from Maractus and Silcoon is buffed. Instead of dealing 50, it's dealing 100% of defense as damage. So it's just a bit more damage. So if it changes much, I don't know, but it makes your tanky units, your Maractus, tanky Maractus, a powerful damage dealer even. Or at least doing some damage. And not just a tank who does chip damage. Onyx gets a new ability, it's Iron Tail. With Iron Tail it hits 3 enemies right in front of it, knocking them back and dealing 100% of its defense and special defense. Dealing 100% of Onyx's defense as special defense. Special damage, not defense. So this is good because Onyx is a rock Pokemon, and if you play it in ground or rock, it gets a lot of defense. So it will deal a good amount of damage, and it has a good CC. So Onyx is maybe a good tanky CC unit with a nice amount of damage. Further changes. Tepic, the Tepic line gets a new ability. It's Heat Crush. Heat Crash, not Crush. It's Heat Crash. It crashes into the target, knocking it back and dealing 40, 60, or 80 special damage. And the ability does more damage the more attack the user has compared to the target. So you want to build attack on Tepic to deal more damage. Also, it benefits now from its wild ability even more. So, or its fire synergy. So Tepic is, I think, now a pretty decent hedge Pokemon you can run if you want to play wild. Or even if you want to play fire. So that's a nice change. Diplin is now a free range Pokemon instead of a one range Pokemon. And its ability no longer paralyzes, but reduces the speed by 30. Which is fine. So the paralysis isn't there anymore, but speed reduction is always good. On a free range unit especially, it's pretty nice. The Cosmic Powered Sun is changed. So from Solrock. It increases the base attack of all allied Pokemons other than the user by 25%, so Solrock doesn't buff itself anymore, which is kind of sad. Because I liked Solrock buffing itself, which made it a decent unit to pick up, but now I don't know. I'm not sure if it's good enough anymore, but we have to see. We have to play test on this stuff. I mean, giving everyone else 25% attack is always good. Fickle Beam, the ability of Hydrapple, is changed a bit. So instead of 4, it's 5 heads now, and instead of 60%, it's 50% chance of dealing damage. And the damage is lowered by 10. So overall, it's more damage if you hit, and it's just a slightly less chance per head. But you have a head more, so it's still a very good Pokemon. I think probably even better than it was before. Morpeko gets nerfed. The Aura Wheel base cooldown is low, like increased from 200 milliseconds to 500 milliseconds, and it can be reduced by speed. So if you build speed items on Morpeko, it can use its ability more often. So crit builds maybe not as good as they were before on Morpeko, and you rather want attack speed builds, but maybe I'm wrong. The ability of Duraludon is increased by a little bit. Duraludon was very underwhelming, so slight increase in power is fine. Cerulet's ability gets the AP scanning removed from its healing part. The healing was disgusting. Like, if you build a Soldew or Choice Specs or something on it, it was sometimes not killable, but it was healing so much. So it's a good thing they removed the AP scanning on the healing part. Once it gets a huge buff, instead of 300%, it gets now 400% of attack, deals 400% of attack. And the recall damage is lowered from a third to a fourth of damage done. So once it deals way more damage and gets way less damage per ability cast. So this is very, very nice. So that's a very nice change. Maybe Bonsly will be played more now, even though it's still a bit awkward because it stands around a very long time. Trick or Treats, the Peekaboo, a Pumpkaboo ability is changed. So instead of 4 different curses, it's now 1. And the one curse is that the enemy is turned into a Magikarp for 3 seconds. It's similar to I want to compare it to the Lulu spell, the Lulu W in League of Legends. But I don't know if you know the game. But yeah, it's similar to the Lulu W in League of Legends. So it's very, very strong CC spell. It's a very strong CC ability. Turning an opponent's legendary, for example, legendary carry, into a Magikarp for 3 seconds. So making it very untanky, very fragile, not dealing any damage. Seems like a very, very strong spell. So we will see. But I think Pumpkaboo can be an auto-include in a lot of teams just because of its CC. It's very, very nice. Cosmic Power Moon. So the Lunatone ability is buffed. So the AP of all allied Pokemon is increased by 25 now instead of 20. So Lunatone might feel better now. It's probably still the worst unique you can pick for Dark. But it's in a Psychic team. It's a bit better now. Even though you might not want to pick it in Psychic because of the ability that it's that makes it nice. but it isn't as bad as it was before. 3 meter ability of Drowsy was changed. The CC duration is increased. At level 1. So first stage, it's now 3 seconds. And on second stage, it's now 4 instead of 5. So that's actually nerfed. But it gets a third tier added. So then it's 5. And it scales now with AP. So this is huge. So the Drowsy can put your opponent Pokemons to sleep for a very long time. If you gave it AP. Or even if you just slot it into Psychic. I mean, it gets an AP naturally. So now to the changes to the synergies. White Pokemon can now be found in initial shop at stage 0. So in your first shop, before you pick a portal, there can be white Pokemon. So you can start getting white Pokemons from stage 0. So you can increase your chances, which is very nice if you want to play wild. Or if your shop gives you 3 white Pokemons, so you have a very increased chance. That's a nice thing. Makes it more consistent in early game. And gives you more, like, versatility. So if you have, like, a white Pokemon in your shop at stage 0, you might want to pick the white portal. So that's nice. Gourmet dishes are now distributed to the strongest adjacent allies. So, like the All Creamy ability, the Gourmet dishes now will prioritize the strongest adjacent allies. So instead of random, and the same like All Creamy works, it's first number of items, then the star level, then the rarity category. So you can put it, so you can position your Gourmet Pokemons way better around your carries, without having to fear that it doesn't get the Gourmet dish. So you can guarantee getting the carry getting the Gourmet dish, or like the tank getting the Gourmet dish that you want. So that's a nice change. Makes it more consistent, and Gourmet more intuitive, and more way easier to play, I think. Now to change to Fossil. Fossil now gets an animation when it's resurrected, and also attack cooldown is resetted. So, like Max Revive, Fossils will now have a small animation before reviving, instead of being resurrected in an instant. So sometimes, like if you played against Fossil or played Fossil, if your Pokemon was killed and resurrected, it could attack instantly, or even it could go through with its attack. No, that's not possible. So it gets killed, attack is resetted, and the animation is playing. So the opponent Pokemons have time to reposition maybe, or refocus, or whatever. So this is, I think, a nerf to Fossil, because they don't get up instantly and can continue hitting, and have to reposition themselves. It could also be a buff, because I think I'm correct, but it will be an aggro change then, and the Fossil Pokemon will be not aggroed anymore, so it acts like the Max Revive. But we have to see how it works, and if it's like a nerf, or rather a buff. Well, I think it's a nerf probably. Also, Fossil 4 is nerfed. Instead of 80%, it now gets 70% HP back after resurrection, which is fine. Fossil is still good. It's just a slight nerf. It just makes it a bit easier to kill the Fossil Pokemons after resurrection. So this is not that big of a nerf. Artifice is also slightly nerfed. Instead of 6 or 12% bonuses, it gets only they get only 5 to 10%. 5 or 10%. This is fine. I think the Artifice is still a very good thing, just not as strong as before. Changes to items. The Max Elixir has its penalty removed, so it's just only so the item only gives you double cast, which is very, very nice, because the ability, the penalty, I mean, the AP penalty was kind of annoying, because the double cast was nice, but sometimes it feels like lackluster in damage, so that's very good. Rotom Fong gets nerfed again. The Drown now spawns after 8 seconds instead of at the start of the fight. So you're the user with the Rotom phone on it has to survive for 8 seconds before the Rotom drone comes into the fight. It makes it easier to fight against these teams, because the Rotom drone often sucked up damage and aggro. It makes it made it easier for your opponent, or easier for you, I mean, to win fights and protect your units. So this is changed. So very nice change. Reaper Cloth League and Large League now give plus 50% crit power if the ability can already crit. So, for example, on Shiftry, I mean, Shiftry has the ability. Shiftry's ability can already crit, so it gets plus 50% crit power if you give it a Reaper Cloth, or League or Large League. Or if you gave a Pokemon a Reaper Cloth and then gets the League or Large League dish, it now gets plus 50% crit power, which is pretty nice. So these items or dishes aren't useless on Pokemons with abilities that can already crit. So they are still pretty nice. White Fury is also nerfed. The rarity of the Pokemons, white Pokemons that can spawn, is reduced. So there won't be random strong Pokemons anymore. Not as soon as it was before, but there will be more small critters instead of like a random Teddiursa. Or like Eradicate or something. So that's pretty nice. It makes it easier to play it against White Flute. So now we get to the gameplay changes. The carousel shape and centering has been adjusted, so it's easier to move on top and bottom of the boards. So previously you weren't able to move past the person who is on top or bottom of the board without running into a portal. But now you can just move past them, because the portal, like the portals or items, are now more centered, so you have more space to move around the carousel, the circle. So you don't have to try to bump the other player away from the spot. So you can just go wherever you want to go and get the portal you want, even if it's on the other side and the other person is still waiting, or just AFKing in the middle, top or bottom. So Rage is no longer negative status, so it isn't cleansed by Rune Protection, Cleanse Tech, or Aquatic or something. That's very nice, because it makes like Scoveline, like if you played, for example, like I did, Scoveline T-Tar, and you gave your T-Tar a Fluffy Tail, Flame Orb, it could cleanse, or was unaffected by the negative status effect of Rage, which is a bit annoying because you consider Rage above, but it's getting cleansed by Fluffy Tail. So now it's not anymore, and you can place Fluffy Tail on your T-Tar if you play Scoveline T-Tar. The dodge chance is now kept at 90%, even with a high luck stat. So you can't play infinite, like, or 100% dodge chance comps anymore with Nose Pass, Lucky Egg on your Ghost Pokemons. So that's very nice. So it makes it that you might hit, at least sometimes hit the Pokemon. The Xatu encounter now costs 15 gold instead of 10, and it no longer appears on stage 4. Which is also very nice, because it could screw up your early game, because the Xatu encounter is the Wonderbox encounter, and you were forced to pick it, because a Wonderbox for 10 gold is insane, and you have to pick the Wonderbox, because otherwise you miss a Wonderbox in the late game when everyone else has a Wonderbox, so you had to pick it, and you had to fuck your econ. So now this isn't happening anymore as early as it did. Also, increasing the cost of a Wonderbox to make it less of a must-take is maybe a nice chance, but it's more like the players winning don't mind paying 15 gold for a Wonderbox, and the players losing are even more screwed, because if they don't pay the 15 gold for a Wonderbox, they don't have a Wonderbox, and if they pay 15 gold for a Wonderbox, they have even less money to stabilize. So the rich get richer. Capitalism it is with the Xatu encounter, but yeah. So the next change, Wobbuffet and Munchlax encounters now give you the exchange ticket and picnic tickets instantly, so you get them without having to pick them up, and you can still pick an item, component, or whatever is in the carousel. It would be in the carousel normally. So you get an exchange ticket or a picnic set plus a component or an item. Very nice change. So also it makes it more like less annoying to get them, especially like the exchange tickets often was like yeah, unnecessary to get. It didn't feel good if you get it early. You just get an exchange ticket instead of an item, and you're missing an item component because of it, which you were planning with to get. So that's nice. There are new encounters, Sableye and Celebi. I don't know what these encounters are, and I haven't researched it, because it's just like a couple, like not even a day after the patch was released, and I haven't looked it up. And I want to encounter them myself in a random game and be surprised by it. Shiny Magikarps at stage 1 no longer give shiny items, but give you 10 gold per Magikarp. So you get 20 gold if you kill both Magikarps instead of a shiny item, which is a nice economy boost and makes the games maybe a bit quicker. Makes reroll comps in early game quicker, and also you can scale your econ quicker for late game. So that's very nice. I think that's fun change. Also, it's less random from like stage 1 with the shiny items, because some shiny items are very good in early game and could snowball, and others were just good in late game, and you were stuck with them up until late game, until they are good, and you probably already got outscaled, for example by a repeat ball. So this is a nice change. I like it. The UI is changed, and I already looked at the UI, and it looks very nice. So positive and negative statuses or stati are now displayed in different text colors, so it's more obvious which is a positive status for you and which is a negative status for you or the opponent. So very nice change. it's more clarity, like that's also always nice. Ad picks and unique legendary propositions are now displayed in the team planner. If you add them in the team planner, also very nice quality of life change. The level rates show next level rates in encounter rates tooltip. That's also very nice. So you can hover over the level thing, and you see on which rates you get the Pokemons now. For example, if you're looking to roll down for an epic unit, you want to look at the percentage, when do I get the chance to get an epic Pokemon, or when is the epic chance increased? You don't have to go into the wiki, but you can just look it up. With the tooltip, very nice. The life and PP bars have been redesigned, and they look way better than before, so that's a nice change. But that's something you really can only see in the game. White Pokemons in PvE around now have make a stage entrance, so before, for example, the Gyarados fight, while you're picking your team or placing your items, whatever, before you fight the Gyarados, it will make an entrance, so it comes in on the board, and you will see the Gyarados being there. And I think you also see the items it has when you have Marek encounter before. So you can see the items, like for example, the Gyarados has a crown on it. So you know, okay, the Gyarados will be stronger, so I really have to make a strong board to defeat it. So that's nice. And I think, but I'm not sure as well, you can see if it's a shiny Pokemon or not. So that's also very nice, so you can plan ahead what you want to do. So it makes your planning easier, and you're not like surprised by a random shiny item, or if you missed the Marowak encounter message. Because it's easy to miss sometimes if you're in the planner or something. So that's a good change. There are no portal transitions between the PvP fights. It's similar to like TFT. You go to the opponent's board through a portal, or the opponent comes to your board through the portal. So that's very nice. Level ups, you can now see the level up if like other player level ups on the sidebar, like with the avatars. You can now see if someone goes level 5 or level 6 or so, so you don't always have to hover over it, so you can see it. It will pop up on the sidebar. Makes it easier to track if someone is pushing in early game or in late game for level. So very nice. So you know who's going aggressive and who's not. So if you're trying to win streak or lose streak, you can see it easier with which level. Or you can see if someone is pushing in a perfect moment. Clicking outside the board area no longer moves your avatar in Treasure Town, so you don't randomly move your unit anymore. So that's fine. That's also a nice change. It's a nice quality of life. Now up to the bug fixes. When 3 Pokemon copies merge to evolve, 2 copies hold an item component. One of the item components will go to the item bench instead of the evolved Pokemon holding 2 components. Yeah, so it's just that item components don't randomly get lost or merge, I think. That's what it's about when you evolve your Pokemon. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's just that sometimes it could happen that if you have 2 Charmanders on your board and one is like component, the other has a component to combine them. The Charmander, like the Charmeleon, would have 2 components on it, but now 1 component is unequipped. And we'll go to the bench. This is nice because you can put items on your units. Like even if you, for example, if you have 2 Charmanders, you can put 2 components, like 1 on each. And then if you evolve, you don't have like the problem that it randomly gets a weird item. So that's nice. Pokemon with Rare Candy are now evaluated as the strongest unit of a group if they are the strongest unit on the board. So that's nice. There's a Firefox reconnection bug that is fixed. I don't know anything about that, but always nice. And also the ghost Pokemon sometimes had dodge chance even though the synergy wasn't active. This was fixed. Very nice. So here's the MISC stuff. So you can now sort the item meta report by either rank tiers, like Pokemon, like the Pokemon report. Nice change. Smeargle Scribble can no longer be added in custom lobbies and is restricted to its own game mode. Okay, that's... So if you want to play Smeargle Scribble, you have to... If you press on play, you have to just choose Smeargle Scribble and can't do a Smeargle's custom lobby anymore. Kinda sad, but that's fine. Shiny Hunter Scribble no longer gets shiny PvE encounters at stages where there's no shiny encounter possible in base rules. That's a nice change, because it would sometimes break the Smeargle Scribble. Yeah, I think for some people the Smeargle Scribble change that you can't do custom lobbies is the biggest crime ever, but I can understand why they do it. But yeah, it's kind of sad, because I can't do a lobby anymore just to play with viewers, with like viewer only Smeargle Scribble lobbies. Because now you have to wait until the lobby's filled and have to press on Smeargle Scribble all at the same time to get into a lobby together. Kinda annoying if you want to play with like friends or community or whatever, but that's what I decided to do. Maybe people were just like occupying too much space with Smeargle Scribble lobbies or something. I don't know. Bot manager submission process has been reworked. Okay, nice. There's a new title. This is a nice thing. I always like new titles. The title is Picnicker, so make a picnic with my Pokemon. So you have to get a Munchlax portal, not portal, Munchlax encounter. Be level 9. Put all the Pokemons in the 3x3 grids. Put the picnic on the Pokemon in the middle, so everyone gets the picnic. So that's a nice title. I'm definitely going to try to get this as soon as possible, but yeah. There's a performance improvement. Okay, nice. And new music is added. That's also very, very nice. Even though I don't use or listen to the music in-game, but that's definitely a nice change. So now to the new Pokemons. First of all, we are talking about Zacian. Zacian? Is Zacian? Is Zacian? I don't know. Zacian. So, it's a new legendary Pokemon. It's fairy and wild, and it wants to have the rusted sword. So if it gets the and the rusted sword is a new item that you get after beating the legendary birds with Yeah, with Zacian, I think. So you have Zacian, needs to have Zacian on board against legendary birds to get the Rusted Sword. And the Rusted Sword makes that the holder gets plus 50% attack, and if the holder faints, the Rusted Sword is transferred to the next ally, like to the weakest ally, and the weakest, like the ally with the weakest attack. And then this ally has the Rusted Sword, and so on and so forth. So the Rusted Sword can be carried through your team through a fight. And if you give Zacian the Rusted Sword, it transforms into Zacian Crowned. It gets a little bit of like one defense and one special defense. And the Steel ability, Steel Synergy. So that's pretty nice. I think there's some nice stuff you can do with Zacian. Also, its ability seems to be very promising. Zacian's ability is in both versions, transformed and untransformed. Behemoth Blade. And Behemoth Blade does that Zacian dashes behind the target and delivers a powerful slash, dealing 100 special, like 100 AP special damage. 100 special damage plus 1 times attack as physical damage. Or it just does 100 AP plus 1 times special attack. So I read it correctly. So it can be a massive physical hitter. And it has pretty decent stats, especially it has a lot of speed. So I'm very curious how well Zacian will do. But yeah, I haven't played it, haven't seen it. I'm very hyped that the Sword Dog is in the game now. And I hope we get the Shield Dog pretty soon as well, Zamazenta. So off to the new another new Pokemon. First of all, Iron Valiant. Iron Valiant is also a new legendary. It's Fighting, Fairy, and Artificial. So it's a new Artificial, Fighting, and Fairy Pokemon, legendary Pokemon. And it has a lot of speed. It's very, very quick. Like, it's very, very quick Pokemon. And it has a very, very low ability power. Not ability power, PP. It has very, very low PP and very high attack. So this guy can be very, very scary. With like a Muscle Band upgrade and maybe a Mana Scarf or something. It will attack you very, very quick. So, and its ability is Laser Blade. And Laser Blade does that Iron Valiant. Here it says alternatively, so it cycles through these abilities 1, 2, 1, 2. So first so the first cast will be spins laser. It spins a laser blade around it and moving behind the target. No, it spins. Wait, I should read. So it spins a laser blade around, moving behind the target, gaining shield and dealing special damage to target and adjacent enemies on the path. And then by the second cast, it spins the laser blades in front of it and dealing twice 30 damage plus attack special damage. And then third cast will be the first effect, and second cast will be then fourth cast will be the second effect, and so on and so forth. So it will be always 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So it will always cycle through the ability, like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So it can be a very scary Pokemon. I think also having more options for fighting, like as a legendary. Also, I think it's maybe the best fighting legendary in the game now. Also giving you like a little bit of access of artificial in fighting. Especially if you have Iron Hands. Iron Hands and Iron Valiant are now good friends with artificial fighting. So that's interesting. So keep your eyes open for Iron Valiant. I will definitely try it in fighting. So now Curlia got a new evolution. It's Gallade. So if your dominant synergy between fighting and fairy is fairy, you get God of War. And if it's fighting, Curlia evolves into Gallade. So you get another kind of late game carry for psychic fighting human, if you're lucky enough to get Gallade. And it seems very powerful, to be honest. It has 38 attack, which is a lot. It's a lot. It has 20 special defense, which is also a lot. It's a very heavy-hitting, tanky unit. And its ability is Psycho Cut. So 3 Psychic Blades cuts and pierce enemies in a line behind the target. Each dealing special damage to all enemies hit can crit by default. This is a very tanky, hard-hitting unit. So Gallade can be very, very nice. Can be very, very strong. It's very tanky, very hard-hitting. So getting this in your human psychic or human fighting team can be huge. Then we get to the next Pokemons. It's Pancham and Pangoro. So Pancham and Pangoro are fighting dark. They are rare Pokemons. And Pancham has the passive. When targeting an enemy for the first time, insults them. Which reduces the attack and special ability power by 20%. So Pancham, whenever it targets a unit, it's reducing their attack and ability power by 20%. So it's very good units to jump into the back, nerfing their nerfing opponent's carry. Very, very nice. Without having to do anything. It's just needs to target the Pokemon. So Pancham has a very nice ability. Passive, I mean. And the ability, Arm Thrust, is it attacks 2 to 5 times, increased by luck, dealing 100% of attack as physical damage each time. Each hit may crit independently by default based on crit chance. So this is also potentially heavy hitting ability, but it's very luck based, like Arm Thrust is in the game. But this makes a very interesting Pokemon. So it's very, very nice. And also it's insulting. I like that it insults the Pokemon. It could have been also Intimidate, but very, very nice Pokemon. I think this can be very huge, but we have to see. Then we get to the new Ultra Pokemon. Grookey, the Grookey line. So, Grookey also has a passive. If there are allies and no enemies at range, beats their drum instead of attacking, which grants bonus PP to user and adjacent allies. This counts as an attack. So Grookey also has an ability that has 3 stages, like 3 different effects, depending on how often it casts. So it also cycles through like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So first it gives shield to the entire team, then it deals damage to all enemies, and then it gives speed to your entire team. So cast 1, shield, cast 2, special damage, cast 3, speed to your team. And I think Grookey seems to be a very, very strong Pokemon. Give it a White Lens, give it a blue egg, like the blue egg, Aqua egg, and it will play its drums all the time. And your team gets shields and damage and speed and attack damage because of the sound synergy. This seems a very, very nice unit. And the stats are also pretty good. Like good speed, which is needed for this ability to cast often. You could also give it, because it has low PP, you don't even need, you could give it an egg. Or you could also go for upgrades and Mana Scarf, because it has a lot of speed. And Wildlands, of course. And have it like stack it infinitely. So this is very, very nice. So then to the next Pokemon, we got Kapfu and the two different forms of Urshifu. First of all, to Kapfu. Kapfu has the passive gain 5 permanent ability power when getting a KO with its ability, up to 10 KO, after which you get the Score of Darkness. Gain 3 permanent speed when getting a KO with a basic attack, up to 10 KO, after which you get the Score of Waters. And the ability of Kapfu is deal special damage to a target and attack immediately after. So Kapfu can give you scrolls depending on how you kill the opponents. If it's with its ability Mach Punch, or if it's with basic attacks. So depending on how you build your Kapfu and how you how your luck is, it's also a bit luck based. You can either get Score of Waters or Score of Darkness, and involve this little fighting baby Pokemon into Urshifu Rapid Strike. And Urshifu Rapid Strike is fighting water. It has a good amount of AD, and the defensive stats are also nice. And its ability is it strikes the target with a flowing motion 3 times in a row, dealing 100% of attack each special damage. Always deal critical hits. So like in the base game, it hits 3 times, always critting, and probably being a menace. So this is very, very nice. This is a very nice Pokemon, I have to say. And if you get the Scroll of Darkness and give it to Kapfu, you get Urshifu Single Strike. Urshifu Single Strike is a fighting dark Pokemon. It has the same stats as Urshifu Rapid Strike. And its ability is Wicked Blow. It deals true damage to the target and always crits. Which is also very nice, because in Dark you get a lot of crits damage increase, so you can deal shit tons of true damage to a single target. Which can be very, very scary. So now we get to my first thoughts and predictions. So this is not the most controversial thing, I will say, but these are my opinions based on just looking at the patch and not having played any games. So I think water fighting might be a viable team comp because of the buffs of Oshawott and the addition of Urshifu Rapid Strike. So you have a very good legendary unit now for water fighting. In Urshifu's with Urshifu Rapid Strike, and I know I wrote Urshifu wrong. I don't know. So this is water fighting can be very good, and I'm hyped and stoked to try it. Bug Amorphous is now a possibility with Caterpie line being amorphous. So if there is a Dupider, you could go Caterpie, Dupider, and go into bugs, maybe bug flying with a Driftloon, and then you have Amorphous. This is a possibility now. Yeah, this is nice. Then Artificial will, I think Artificial will stay strong, but it's probably not an Auto Force anymore. And because of the small nerfs it got, and Nosepass not being an artificial unit anymore. So the access is, like you have less access. So you will probably still see Artificial in higher elo lobbies, but not as often anymore. And not everyone is forcing it. Sound is more consistent and easier to force now because of Grookey. So if you want to play sound, or if you see that you might be able to play sound, you have now a reliable late game unit with Grookey you can get. And this is very huge. This is huge, 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 huge. The dark synergy can be now a sub synergy in fighting, and vice versa. So fighting in dark, because of Urshifu Single Strike and the Pancham line, together with what is this? Is Scraggy. With Scraggy, you have dark in fighting, or you can have fighting in dark. So that's pretty nice. I don't know how good it will be. I think it having dark units in fighting is very beneficial. So if you have all three dark units in fighting, you might be able to have them jump into the back line and not occupy all your front line, so the fighting units can actually hit units and not stand in each other way. So that's very nice. And yeah. Thank you, Tech, for the raid. Hello, everyone. And what did you type, Blue Monkey? I found something out on stream yesterday. To evolve. What have you with Zacian? You don't need to give him the sword to evolve. You can give it to a range carry, because once he evolves, he literally only gains +1 defense, +1 special defense. Then lose the steel typing, obviously. Oh yeah, I know. I haven't talked about it, but yeah, that's something you can do, yeah. And the attack, it's PowerPoint. I'm near to the end of the PowerPoint, so you missed a bit. But you will be able to watch it later this day as a video, or you can just watch the VOD on YouTube or Twitch. But thank you for the raid, and hello everybody. So, where were we? So we have Fighting Human and Psychic Human being more versatile and easier to switch in between now because of Gallade. So if you're like in a spot where you're between Fighting Human and Psychic Human, you could just try to get to Gallade with your Curlier and combine Fighting and Psychic Human into one comp. It's not that easy, but it's a possibility now, and it's a viable strategy to do. So that's very nice. Zacian can be huge for Wild Steel Fairy as a heavy, probably heavy physical hitter. And also with the Rusted Sword usage. This is what Blue Monkey said, with like you don't have to equip the Rusted Swords to Zacian, because it just gets what +1 in special defense and defense. You could just put it on a ranged carry, or you could also put it on the front line, like any hard-hitting frontliner or something. So you don't have to put it on Zacian. So yeah, we will see. But it can be a very good unit in field, in wild, not field, in wild. Also, Wild having access to another legendary that's not Suicune, I think they are happy about. So yeah. And I don't know about Fairy, how Fairy fits the bill. But I wouldn't say it's bad necessarily. It will probably open paths to strange Fairy builds with like Fido, Granbull, and like Zacian, Zigzagoon or something, to have like field wilds in your sprinkled into your fairy team. So that's an option. Grass will be stronger in late because it got even a better ultra spam. It's better to spam ultra units now because it got a second ultra unit in Grookey. So he talked about like sound having it better, but Grass also have Grookey now, so you can just put even more Ultra units into Grass, so Grass late game might be better now. Especially with a supporting unit like Grookey. It can survive longer, the team can survive longer, and everything. So this seems pretty nice. Is it the comeback of Grass? Maybe. So, and even more, I think Fossil is also stays strong, but it is also less of an auto force. So, small synergy nerf, plus the new animation, plus the auto attack reset, will definitely hurt Fossil, but it will be still good. It will still, you still shouldn't add Fossil Pokemons in your ad picks, just without thinking, because a Fossil player might still rail over you and the whole lobby. Another prediction is Grass Fossil. Yeah, Grass Fossil can be played now, yeah. Yeah, then now to Gourmet. I think Gourmet will see more play. So, because it targets its strongest ally, now it buffs the Applin line and buffs the Munchlax line. And not only Applin is buffed, like the Pokemon Applin, but Hydrapple is buffed. Or like, not buffed, but changed. Instead of 4 heads, it has 5 heads now, and instead of 60% chance to deal damage, it has 50% chance to deal damage, and instead of 60 damage, it deals 50 damage. So overall, it's a buff, I think, for Hydrapple, if you hit. And if you don't hit, then you don't hit, but that's just a lucky egg on your Hydrapple and everything is good, I think. And yeah, Gourmet will see more play because it's easier to play. Fighting might be actually good. Like, not decent, like it was like the last patches, but it might be actually good, because several fighting Pokemons were buffed, and Kapfu and Pancham were added, and also Gallade, and also Iron Valiant. I forgot to put it into the PowerPoint, but Iron Valiant was also added. So there's so that's a pretty nice change here, yeah. So I think fighting has more options, it might be better now. And also with the Hydrapple change. Oh yeah, Lucky Egg, it's now, if you give Hydrapple a Lucky Egg, it's now instead of 60 plus, like before it was from 60% to 90%, it's now 50% to 75% with the Lucky Egg, yeah. So that's a huge difference, that's true. That's true, but it's more of a gamble. But if you hit now, you hit harder, so I think it's a fair payoff that you might miss more often. But if you hit, you deal more damage. It's a bit RNG, which Hydrapple was supposed to be. So I think that's fine. And it's a well-deserved chance hit nerf. But it's a deserved buff to the damage output. Also, I don't know if it's actually that much of a nerf, because before it was 4 times 90% chance, now it's 5 times 75% chance to hit. So I think in the end it's pretty similar. I think, isn't it? Isn't it pretty similar? 30 plus 50. Oh no, Lucky Egg gives you 50% of the luck bonus. 50 plus 50%. So 50, like the 50% plus 25. And before it was 60 plus 30%. Lucky Egg gives you plus 50% of the current of the base luck, or the base chance, not the luck chance, the base chance. If I'm correct, I think that's how it works. I could be wrong here, but I think that's how it works. But yeah, it's like 4 times, instead of 4 times 90%, it's 5 times 75%. So you could do the math, and I think it's pretty similar. Yeah. So now to the next opinion. I think Fire Reroll might be something you could play. Because Charmander line got buffed in special defense and defense, like later stages. Fennekin line got buffed in, got buffed also in special defense, I think. And less PP. And Litwick got buffed, has more defense and special defense. So there is the possibility to do some fire reroll there, because you have minimum 3 units to roll down in common. In common. And with if you get the monkey, the fire monkey, a Chimchar, you have even 4 fire units you can roll for early on. So that could be interesting, maybe. I don't know. I like the idea, at least, of a fire reroll team, and I will try it. Then something people might be happy about. I think Raichu and Lone Raichu might be dead. Probably. It's definitely less weaker, less strong. It's way weaker, so this way. So I think it might be dead. Or pretty weak. And something else I didn't write down. Oh no, so I skipped over it. The sound is more consistent, easier to force because of Grookey. I skipped over it. Yeah, Grookey is oh, did I? No, I didn't skip over it. I just forgot that I talked about it. Yeah, so I don't know, Raichu might be dead. Yeah, it falls off in late game. Yeah, I mean, it's still pretty tanky for a common unit. It still has 7 defense, so it still has more defense than Charizard, for example. So it's still very tanky compared to other common units. I mean, not as tanky as a Kikuna, which has 8 defense now, but it's still very tanky and still does a good amount of damage. So it's still a force in the mid game, so in early to mid game, but in late game it falls off, so it can't solo carry anymore. And also this patch, I will get the Glutton title. This patch, I will finally get it, because Munchlax's line was buffed, and it's easier to get. So I will get it, hopefully. And that's it. That's it for the patch rundown. So I hope you guys enjoyed this patch rundown. So leave a like, subscribe, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.